In this video, I'll show you how to rank #1 in Google, even if you're new to SEO. I use these SEO techniques to grow this local business's organic search traffic by 889%. And don't worry, these won't be a bunch of generic SEO tips that'll be outdated by tomorrow. Instead, you'll learn what works right now and will continue to work in the future. So for this demonstration, I will build an SEO campaign from scratch for a random HVAC business serving Chicago. So if you're excited to get better SEO results, like this video and let's jump right in. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're actually gonna start to build the keyword database. So there's two things we have to do. Number one, we're actually going to export the existing keywords. And then number two, we're actually going to do a keyword gap analysis. So let's start with the existing keywords. So all you have to do is go ahead and just copy the domain, and you're gonna go into SEMrush and go to the domain overview, and then just go ahead and enter the domain. And then just go to organic research, click on positions, and then just go ahead and export on the right-hand side over here. So then all I do is I copy all of that data and I paste it into an individual tab like this. Now yours will not look like this because I've modified this slightly, okay? So just having the data is one thing, but understanding how to actually use this data and make it actionable is where the real magic happens, okay? So what I do is a couple things. Number one is I start to just look for some common trends, all right? And usually the first thing that I'll do is when I start to filter through this list is I'm gonna look at the keywords that are most valuable. And you can determine the value of a keyword by looking at the CPC, or cost per click. Now, this is not how much it costs to do SEO or anything of that nature, but it's how much it costs to run Google ads. And so theoretically, if an advertiser is willing to pay a large amount, that means that that keyword is worth a lot, right? They've done the math on that. They know that if they invest $145, that they're gonna make much more than $145, okay? So let's go ahead and filter this, and I always do it Z to A, and this gives us just a nice kind of look into like, okay, here are the best keywords that we can go after. Now keep in mind, notice I'm not filtering by search volume or keyword difficulty or anything like that. Because really what I want to do is I want to see like what are the keywords that are actually going to make them the most money possible, okay? And we start there because they could theoretically just go and advertise and pay $56 a click. That can start to get pretty costly pretty quickly, okay? So when you think about that, it's a much better alternative to invest in SEO and ultimately decrease this cost to acquire customers, okay? So in a perfect scenario, you're going to be doing both Google ads and SEO at the same time. You should be doing them together because that helps you occupy more SERP real estate, okay? But here's what I like to do is I like to start to look at like, okay, here are the keywords that are extremely high value. And then what I will do is I will start to kind of cluster these keywords together. So obviously right away, I see that there's the combo of basically furnace repair, or AC repair, or whatever the service offering is, plus an individual city that we want to go after. So furnace repair Aurora, furnace repair Thornton, and obviously AC repair Lake Forest. So what I like to do is I'll highlight this row, and then I will go to the formatting, and I'll go to conditional formatting. Okay, I click on this. And then what I do is I just start to do text contains. So I will start to put the various locations in there, and I like to just cluster by location. And what this is gonna do is gonna help me see like, okay, there's a lot of opportunity here, right? Like a lot of opportunity. And the truth is, they're not doing well for a lot of these. So when we look at this, we can go ahead and filter, okay? So Aurora, and this one, by the way, later on in this video, I'm gonna show you, this is a really important keyword because there's a lot of opportunities to fix this one, okay? So, but when we look at this, we've got 13 keyword variations relating to furnace repair and heater repair and AC repair, HVAC in general. There's all kinds of different variations that we can go after, okay? And what I see though, is when we look at the position, we're not doing so well, right? So there's an opportunity to lift this up substantially, all right? And the beauty of this is just in this one little sample here, a little sample of keywords in just this one location, we're looking at almost, 770 searches per month, okay? 770 searches per month. Now, that may not seem like a lot, but when you consider the value of an HVAC customer, that is worth a lot. And this is why on average, when you look at this, so on average, they're paying about $32 per click for this cluster of keywords, okay? So if we can also run SEO parallel to the Google Ads, we can decrease how much it costs to actually acquire these customers, okay? Over time, it will be much more profitable to acquire customers, all right? So that's what we really want to do. And so this is one cluster that I would absolutely want to attack, okay? So start there, start with the CPC. Then what you can do is you can actually start to filter this down based on the other metrics, okay? So you might want to go over here and just filter by color, and you know that, Aurora is a very important location. We're going to go and filter everything else out, and we're just going to start to look at these specific keyword phrases. So I'll take these priorities off, and what I would do is I would start to see, are there keywords with different intent? Okay, so furnace repair, Aurora, that's clearly different intent. And that also has the highest volume in this cluster. Okay, so I would definitely want to prioritize that one, and we can actually filter by volume in this scenario. All right, so furnace repair, heater repair, those are honestly pretty synonymous for the most part. So you really wouldn't want to create 2 pages for that. You probably want to create just 1 page for that keyword variation. However, HVAC, that's a little bit of a broader term, kind of a broader scope of services. So I would actually have that as a dedicated page. Heating and cooling, that could be kind of lumped into HVAC. Once again, furnace repair, heating and cooling, and then AC repair. Okay, so once again, another good one with different intent. When someone is searching for furnace repair versus when someone is searching for AC repair, they have a very different goal that they're trying to achieve. And for that reason, we need to create a page that helps them fulfill that goal to the fullest extent. That is the definition of fulfilling intent. That is it. And so when you're creating pages, they should perfectly match the intent of the keyword. They should be perfectly structured to help that person get what they came for, okay? So furnace repair and then furnace installation. Now, I actually think furnace installation as well is a different intent than furnace repair, okay? Very different frames of mind. Someone going with a repair, they're probably hoping it's going to be a few $100s to get it fixed. Someone going in with installation, in their, from their perspective, they're probably ready to shell out several thousands of dollars, okay? Very different type of clientele. So you should have different marketing messages, different copywriting for those different types of clients, okay? So once again, right away, we've got about 4 pages that we need to have on this website to properly fulfill the intent of these keywords, okay? So this is what I will do. I will start kind of go cluster by cluster and start to kind of prioritize. And so for this scenario, I basically just picked like 10 of the highest value keywords just to kind of show you some different examples. But the point is start with your existing keywords. Always start here first, because this is where all the gold is. You always want to start here, because too many people start thinking about how do we start targeting more keywords, but it's like you're sitting on a gold mine right now. Okay, so focus in on these existing keywords. Then once you've got a good idea of kind of what you're working with, then if you want, and then honestly, I'll just be totally transparent. In a scenario like this, I probably wouldn't even do untapped keywords. I wouldn't even do a keyword gap, because there's already too much work to do here. So we wouldn't even be able to get through all this work in, let's say, 12 months, right? We would need to be heavily invested, focused on this before we even think about, okay, now let's target new keywords, right? You don't want to jump into that before you've already tackled all this good stuff. And there's plenty to work with here. I'm about to show here in a second, okay? So, but as far as untapped, I'll just show you as an example, just so you can see. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to go back to SEMrush, and what I'll do is I'll open up the keyword overview, and I'll search whatever like the highest volume keyword is for that location. Okay, so HVAC Chicago, I think that's probably the highest volume one. Now, I'm not searching this because it's necessarily what we're going to target. I'm just searching this because I know it's really competitive. And if it's really competitive, then a lot of the competitors that are here are likely also ranking for a lot of other keywords, okay? So what I'll do is I'll take some of these top competitors and then I'll run them through the keyword gap, okay? So it'll be, our domain and then all the top competitor domains in organic search, right? This is not necessarily your top competitors just as a whole, but it's your top competitors as far as your SEO campaign, okay? So then you run that through, you export the report, and it looks a little something like this. I modified it slightly, but basically you're gonna get all the keywords your competitors are ranking for that you are not ranking for, okay? That's what we're trying to do. Now, once again, I would not make this a priority. If you already have a business that's already established, got an existing keyword profile, then just don't even mess around with this. Just go right into the existing keywords and start improving things, okay? So speaking of improving things, what do we do now? All right, so we've got our keywords set. We got a good idea of what we're working with. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna run a Screaming Frog crawl. So then you're just gonna go into Screaming Frog and you're gonna do a technical audit. And so this is my favorite auditing tool just because I just love the raw nature of it. But basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna, and obviously I'm working in a campaign here where I don't have access to Google Analytics and Google Search Console. Normally, if I was doing this, I would link up Google Analytics 4, I would link up Google Search Console, I'd link up PageSpeed Insights, and I would link up Ahrefs in this scenario, okay? So I'd have all of those data points working together so I get a better idea of what I'm working with. In this scenario, I'm just gonna have to settle for what I can actually do without those tools. Now, one little trick here you can do, and it's not 100% accurate, but it can help if you don't have access. And let's say you're preparing a proposal for a client, you can't get access or something. You can do a little workaround. So go into Ahrefs, and if you go to the metrics section, okay, you go into the metrics section, and what you can do is go to the URL and just select keywords and traffic. Okay, and this is going to be Ahrefs, estimated amount of keywords that individual URL's ranking for, and then the estimated organic traffic that URL is getting. Okay, it is not 100% accurate by any means, but it can at least give you a ballpark idea of what you're working with. Okay, so especially when you don't have Google Analytics 4, which is truly the only metric that will give you true traffic data. Okay. It may not even be 100% accurate, but at least for the tools that we have available, nothing is probably more accurate than Google Analytics 4 as far as traffic, okay? Because you're actually putting in the snippet onto your website, and then Google's actually able to track everything, okay? So go ahead and run that crawl and then export the results. And what I do is I'll just go ahead and put it into a little crawl tab here, and I'll go ahead and zoom out because so let's just say there's a lot of opportunity here. All right, so this is their crawl right now. And usually the very first thing that I will do is I will immediately start looking for keyword cannibalization because it's so prevalent on the local level that I always like to just tackle that right away. Okay, so I'm gonna show you a bunch of instances of keyword cannibalization and how I like to find it. So usually what I do is I'll just go ahead and pick like one of the core locations or one that I'm seeing is kind of showing up a lot. So like in the case of Chicago, all right, I went here, highlighted the row, once again, went to conditional formatting, and then I just ran text contains for Chicago, okay? This doesn't mean that all of these are keyword cannibalized. It just means that I need to see this cluster to see what's going on, okay? Now, what we're gonna find is it's pretty disturbing, okay, as far as keyword cannibalization. So I'm just gonna show you. We're gonna filter and we're just gonna look at specifically Chicago, okay? Now, this is just old school stuff that's going on here. So, it can be easily fixed. That's what I'm saying here. So what we're seeing here is there's a lot of pages that are targeting Chicago and the various services that this business offers. Okay. So one thing you can do if you want is, because this is already filtered, we can actually go and filter again. And let's just we'll pick anything. Let's just pick furnace. Okay. We're just going to pick furnace. And now what we're going to see is we're going to see every page that includes Chicago and furnace in it, okay? But we can go another level. Let's go furnace repair, okay? Let's go another level, go a little bit deeper, okay? Now we're at a point where we potentially have 33 pages on this website that are optimized for furnace repair Chicago, okay? This is not ideal. We don't ever want to have this. And all this is going to do, this does not create topic relevance. This does not create topic authority. All this does is basically, it raises your hand to tell Google that you are trying to manipulate its algorithm. That's what it's trying to do. You are literally raising your hand and saying, yes, I am doing SEO, and yes, I am trying to manipulate you to the fullest extent, okay? And the main point here is that this doesn't even work, okay? It just doesn't work. It hands down does not work. Google has a lot of issues, but it knows these little strategies don't work super well. So all this is doing is actually just hurting the website. So what we would want to do is we want to figure out what is the one page that we want to target specifically for furnace repair Chicago. and that is it. What's that page that we want to go after, okay? And so there's some ways you can figure this out. I would just look at whichever one is probably performing best. Okay, so what I did is I just went in here and I filtered to show furnace repair only, and then I filtered it by search volume because that should help us get an idea of like what page is performing best for this, okay? Now, based on what I'm seeing here, they actually have 2 pages here that seem to be doing okay, right? And one's number 5 according to this. Now we can actually just go and fact check this. We'll go ahead and see how it's actually performing. We'll put it incognito, and by the way, this is not always exact, but just get a ballpark idea. And they actually are ranking pretty well with this one page here. So I would actually go here and copy this page and see, is this the page that we want to ultimately, rank? Okay, and I don't love it, right? I don't think it's necessarily the best page. I don't think it's well optimized for this keyword really at all. However, this is something we have to consider into this equation. Like if it's ranking well, then why? Why is it ranking well? And should we just try to make it even better? Okay. So, that's kind of the situation that I would try to be thinking about is like, if this is furnace maintenance, cleaning, and inspections, could we throw repair in there? Like, could I just throw repair in the title tag and would that help us, increase the rankings significantly, right? That's something I would probably test. It doesn't make sense to try to do like a massive amount of work when you could just test something that's like a very minimal amount of work, but have a huge impact, right? The goal is not to work as hard as possible in your SEO campaign. The goal is to work as smart as possible. So first thing I would do is I would just test improving this page without even touching the URL. I wouldn't touch a single thing. I would just try to make this page better. That's it. That's all I would do. And then I would try to clean up all the junk that's around it. Okay, so now at this point, we know that our target URL, and although it's not perfect, we're gonna wanna start to just go through and just start chipping away at all of these pages that could be competing against this primary page. Okay, we want to consolidate them into that primary page. Now, this is a very important nuance. When you're trying to fix keyword cannibalization, you don't want to just delete the page and let it 404. In many other scenarios, that is the best path. Like if you're doing content pruning on a website for a bunch of pages that just don't have any metrics and they're old and you should just get rid of them, that makes sense. You just let it 404, Google crawls it, it removes it from the index, and now your website is thinner and leaner and you've got rid of a bunch of junk. Okay, that's good. But when you're trying to fix keyword cannibalization, you need to inform Google of what the new page is. So even if these pages have literally no metrics at all, we're using the 301 redirect to simply inform Google that this old page here that's highly over-optimized and low quality no longer exists, and now it's been moved over to this beautiful page that's well optimized and is perfectly built for this keyword. Right? That's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to inform Google. So basically what we would end up doing in this scenario is we'd want to look at the data first, right? You don't want to just start getting rid of stuff right away. At least look at the data a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll just close this out and I want to see of these pages that are ranking, do they have any positive data associated with them? Okay. So based on what we see here, there is a group of pages, approximately, let's see here, 13 pages that have no backlinks, no keywords, and no traffic, at least according to Ahrefs. Once again, I would make sure you integrate the other APIs in a realistic scenario here to make the most informed decision. But let's just, for the sake of this argument, this is going to be 13 pages that we need to get rid of by 301 redirecting them to the page that we have selected that's already performing well. That is it. That's all I would do. I would put these pages into draft, delete them, whatever it is, and then just 301 redirect. And that's it. And I'd probably hold those 301 redirects for at least a year. At least a year, okay? Maybe permanently. I don't know. I would debate whether I would keep them forever. But the point is we're going to run those 301 redirects. Then from there, we're going to start to look at some of these other pages and say, okay, are these worth keeping, okay? Now, obviously, there's some scenarios here that make a lot of sense to keep. The homepage, we're obviously going to keep this. This isn't going to go anywhere. This one here, why does this one have keywords and traffic? I have no idea. So maybe we should just keep it, let it be. Okay, we can always go after that at a later time. Okay, this one here, which is furnace repair, to me, this should be the page that's ranking. Like, I think this properly fulfills the intent. This is a much better page. So you would have to have this debate of like, do we want to focus on that other page that for some unknown reason is performing well over this one? That's like the reason that's probably even happening in the first place is just because of the keyword cannibalization. So I would suspect long term, let's say in 6 months from now, once this is all cleaned up, you've got one dedicated page for this keyword. I would suspect that the right page would start to perform well. That would be my suspicion, okay? Because I've done this so many times. But that takes a little bit of risk, right? You gotta shake things up. You gotta move stuff around. You gotta do 301 redirects. It's a lot of work, but it's a little bit of pain short term for long term performance. So to wrap up on this keyword cannibalization thing, we just want to make sure one primary keyword per page, and that is it. If you target furnace repair Chicago, you have one page for furnace repair Chicago, and that is it. Unless there's some scenarios where you could do something different, which is if you had some sort of data-driven piece of content that was about the cost of furnace repairs in Chicago. Okay, that makes sense. That's fine. But if you're doing it just like the pure keyword phrase, which is furnace repair Chicago, there should only be one commercial page for that. Okay, simple as that. Don't create a blog post. Don't do it. Don't create tags for it. Don't create categories for it. Just don't do that. Just one. I have to keep emphasizing this. Just one page. That is it. And then consolidate everything else together. Okay, so, and this is widespread across the whole site through multiple locations. I won't belabor the point here, but this is really, really important to fix. Okay, really important. Okay, so the next thing I saw during the crawl and audit is just a bunch of cookie cutter pages. Okay, so these are your classic local doorway pages that are designed just to rank. They're hidden on the website. They're literally designed just for Google. And the crazy part is that this does actually work. Okay, so this is where things get tricky because like it kind of does work. And so, but there's a better way to do this. Okay, so this is very cookie cutter. It's not really designed to convert super well. It's like this is literally built just for Google's algorithm. So if you're gonna do this, at least do it. Like really take it seriously. And honestly, there's a lot of work here. Like this is just not a normal headline. Like it's very odd that there's a pipe in between all of this. Like make it look nice, make it look natural, break the paragraphs up, add a little bit of design, make sure that they can actually call you. Like this isn't clickable. So that's a problem. They can't call you on mobile. They'd have to manually go and type in the phone number. So that just kills conversions. And then you've got all this stuff here. Like it's just vomiting, right? That's what it is. But here's everything. And that doesn't drive conversions. You got to be very specific. You got to get the person focused in on what they need to do on this page, okay? And this doesn't do the job. And this makes sense because this is built just for the algorithm. This is not built for a human, okay? Which is completely backwards, We need to build stuff to drive conversions and then think about SEO, not the opposite of start with SEO, then think about conversions. That doesn't make sense because it doesn't matter if you rank and you get traffic if you can't actually convert any of it. It's absolutely pointless, okay? And I can assure this business is a for-profit business, so I don't think they're in the business of just getting traffic because it makes them feel good, okay? I think they want to make money. And so what we need to do here is build it with that intent in mind. Now, funny thing is, like at the bottom here, now this is all boilerplate, but this is the stuff that actually converts. This is the type of content that actually drives leads, but it's all the way at the bottom, right? It's all the way at the bottom. It's the stuff that they bury down here. It should actually be reversed. Like the stuff that actually drives conversion should be at the top, right? It should be at the top. It shouldn't be buried down here at the bottom. So the final point on this is in the day and age of AI content, this is like super old school stuff, probably was maybe written by a non-native English speaker. But with AI now, you can actually create a very solid page with copy, right? You like in this world now, everyone can be at least a average, maybe slightly above average copywriter. Everyone. There's no excuse now at this point because you can just go into AI and you can have it write it for you. And it's going to be better than any non-native English speaker. Hands down. If you use the right prompts, it absolutely can. So this is just, slow down with scaling out pages. Just slow it down. Focus in on a couple clusters. I would focus in maybe let's just do Brookfield. We're just gonna tackle Brookfield. We're gonna improve this page and we're gonna just start chipping away. Just start chipping away at these. I actually think this strategy is the correct strategy. Like building out dedicated localized pages like this, it works. Okay, it works. No matter what anyone says, it works. Okay, these are actually ranking well, even despite their current status. Okay, so we know this strategy works. It's just how it's executed is how we need to improve. Okay, and that's what optimization is all about, right? So that's that part. Then we have another slight issue here, which is we have multiple pages. Okay, this is all this is because of technical related challenges. Okay, but all three of these pages are all targeting the same exact keyword phrases. Okay, so we have Aurora Heating and Cooling Company. We have Aurora Heating and Cooling Company, and we once again have Aurora Heating and Cooling Company. Now, the difference between these pages, as you'll notice, is there's a folder on both of these. So you'll see we got this service locations, and it looks like, maybe they created a little subfolder that functions as a multi-site. So they basically have like two websites on their website at this point. On top of that, this is not being properly canonicalized, and it's not using a 301 redirect to the preferred version of the domain. Okay, so you've basically got three totally different pages. So you'd have to figure out like what is the preferred version that we want. So you start there. Maybe it's this one, and then you would take these other variations here and you would 301 redirect these other variations to the one you actually care about. It's as simple as that. Now on top of that though, when you look at this, you'll see this one is missing the www subdomain, okay? It's missing, and this one has it, okay? All that does is create just duplicate content. So a simple fix that can have huge implications, because when we go and look at this, there's like 74 pages that need to be 301 redirected to the primary version of the domain. So just with this one move, maybe 10 minutes of work, we can just clean up the website like overnight, just like so fast. So I would have a field day with this site. I would be chopping and cleaning, and just this site would be so lean. You would just go through and just clean it up like crazy. There's so much opportunity here. And this is like one of my favorite parts of SEO is just going through and like seeing all this and like, yes, I can go through and I can actually just like start chopping away and making the site actually the way it needs to be structured. Tons of opportunity. It doesn't take a long time to do this either. Okay. So that's that part. Now let's talk a little bit about UX and CRO. Okay. So I'm not going to get super crazy about this. The site needs to be redesigned, right? Like it's got an old school kind of box design like this. If you look at a modern design, like I'm not going to talk, like my design is very simple. I'm not going to say my design is like great, but this is just more of a modern look, which means you have full width on all the sections. So you go full width on all the sections, and you'll see like, for example, if we go down here, you'll see like, for example, this part here, this little section here goes full width. It doesn't just stop right here. Okay. That's like a much more modern type of design. So I would recommend just kind of upgrading the design. That can have a significant difference. I mean, people do judge a book by its cover. Okay. So that can actually improve conversions. It's just the general aesthetics and user interface actually can help. Okay. So you fix that first, then we start to talk about, all right, how do we get people to actually take more action on our website? The way to get people to take more action on your website is actually to give them less choice. There's too much choice here. There's too much too many elements that cause decision fatigue. Okay, so I land on here and I've got request free estimate, schedule service areas, blog, social media, 6 different phone numbers. I've got a special service deal here. And it's just like, it's too much, right? It's too difficult to make a decision here. We got to simplify it. Get rid of anything that's not going to help with conversions, okay? So when you land here, first of all, social media icons above the fold, that's just a death wish. Okay, that's a death wish for killing conversions. Because what's going to happen is I do this, and now I'm gone. I'm gone off your site. I'm doing my own thing. Oh, 20 notifications? Cool. Let's go check those out, right? It's over, right? You lost that person. You would never convert them. They're absolutely gone. And this is why Facebook and all these social media platforms, they do not want you to leave, because they know if you leave, that decreases their chances of making money. Okay, it's as simple as that. There's no secrets about this. They want to retain you on the website for as long as humanly possible, because the longer you're on the site, the longer and better chance they have of making money. Okay, it's like if you go to the casino, the longer you're at the casino, the more likely that you're going to lose money to the casino. The casino will almost always win if you're there for long enough time, right? Long enough time horizon, the casino will win. And that's why the casino likes to keep you at the casino. They give you all kinds of good stuff to keep you there, okay? That's a part of the game. You need to do the same thing on your website. You do not want people to leave. Do not put anything that makes them leave, okay? So get rid of these, push them down to the footer, build a more comprehensive footer design here so you can kind of house some of these less important things, okay? Then blog, once again, blog should go down in the footer. That's not going to drive conversions. It's got to go down in the footer. I can assure you most people are probably not reading an HVAC blog. It just a fact, okay? And then on top of it, we want to make the phone number more prominent. I would probably have just one call to action. It'd be a button to contact and a phone number to call. Okay, and that phone number should just cycle depending on their location. So if they're from Chicago, they'll see a Chicago number. If they're from Lake Forest, they'll see a Lake Forest number. Okay, that's it. It should just, you can use CallRail to do that. And so you can greatly simplify this. And so I would spend a lot of time thinking about what you want above the fold and just cut the fat. Cut as much fat as possible, make it lean, make that call to action really prominent, okay? That's why, like over here, I purposely put this, like my call to action is very clear. It's as clear as it could possibly be. Couldn't be any more clear, right? And that's how you should do it. Like it should be one clear call to action that you're going after, okay? And then just eliminate all the junk, all of it. So this is very important. You need to spend a lot of time thinking about this, and you need to spend a lot of time split testing this as well. So it's very important. You can run split tests. You can also use a tool like MouseFlow, and you go into MouseFlow and you can actually go ahead and run these user behavior tests to see what's going on your site. Okay, so at this point, I took the top 10 keywords that are based on the highest potential value for this business, and I just put them into a little tab over here. And there's a few things I want to do. I want to look at these specific keywords to see if there's opportunities to either upgrade, optimize, or create new content. And so in most scenarios, if you're ranking, we'll sort this by position, and we see that we're ranking position 98 or even, page 2 and beyond, usually it's an indication that we're going to need to upgrade some things. So as I showed previously, cleaning up keyword cannibalization, fixing technical performance, making the site better as a whole is all going to be beneficial. But this is where you really need to get focused, and you actually need to go page by page and make each page better. And so what I like to do is I will run these keywords through a tool like Rankability. So we'll go over here to the content optimizer, and then I go to multiple, and you can actually paste the keywords in. If you do import URL content, you can paste the URLs in for each individual keyword. So you can see I've already went ahead and ran this optimizer. And so we'll just look at one like AC repair, Naperville, Illinois. Okay. So when we look at this, there's a couple things you can do. First, you can look at how you fare against the competitors. And we can see right away, at a 15 rankability score, that's not really going to do it, right? And when we look at the top competitors in the top 3, they're all, they're twice as much as far as relevance. Now, keep in mind, the rankability score is purely just based on relevance. It's a matter of how well have you integrated these NLP keywords into your page, okay? So the goal here is not to just inject these keywords into your content. The goal is to make the most relevant and comprehensive page possible for each individual keyword phrase that we're going after. Okay, so our primary keyword phrase is AC repair in Naperville, Illinois. We obviously need to hit on a lot of these things that the competitors are hitting on. So even small things like air conditioning services, AC unit, AC service, like all of these little individual keyword phrases, that needs to be included in this content, okay? It really does, because otherwise it's not going to be relevant enough to rank. So what I would do is I would go through, start to improve all of this content. And just looking at this one, the one thing I would probably do is I'd probably just run right into ChatGPT and I would copy this. And we're going to have actually native function, AI function inside the tool. But right now, create commercial content for the target keyword, AC repair, Naperville, Illinois, that matches the intent using these NLP keywords. Then you go back in here, you'd copy the rankability keywords, and then we would go ahead and just paste those in, and then we would just run this. Okay, and then we'd write a first draft of what this content should look like. Okay, very, very, basic first draft that will still be better than what currently exists on the website. So get this first draft going, and basically once this is done, we'll run this back through rankability, and you'll see that the score is going to be significantly better. And this is significantly better content as well. And so basically you have to repeat this process, but don't just take this content and just immediately slap it on your website. What you should do is treat this like a simple first draft. Okay, this is a simple first draft. So we're gonna go ahead and copy this. And I'm just gonna go in here and just to show you how effective this can be. Okay, so we are at a 15 if you remember. So I'll paste this in, this puts us right at a 61 with no edits. A totally rough draft. We're already at a 61. Okay, so that would put us in the ballpark to actually compete on this keyword now. So what you would do is you would then, like I said, this is the first draft, so you'd want to go through, edit it, add your own brand stuff in there to make it relevant and just make it better as a whole. But this is a beautiful place to start, and we did it in about a minute. Okay, so much easier than trying to manually write each of these little individual pages. Okay, let the NLP guide you. Let the NLP help you structure your content the right way. That's the beauty of NLP. It's not about keyword density or injecting stuff specifically in your content. It's more about hitting on these individual topics. So what I would do is I would just repeat this for all of my commercial pages. And I always start with the commercial pages first, get those squared away. And then when we're done, then we start thinking about, okay, what's some link bait that we can create that we can actually go in and start to attract links naturally and passively. Speaking of that, if you go into ChatGPT, you'll see I already ran a prompt here, which is give me 10 link bait ideas for an HVAC company in Chicago. Okay, right away we get some really, really great ideas. But then we go down here and I said, give me 10 data-driven ideas. Once again, boom, a bunch of great ideas that we can go and build a piece of content on. And so you don't need a lot of these. You only need 3 to 5 of these to really start seeing some nice impact. And the reason you want to create stuff like this is because it's much better to drive backlinks to an informational piece of content and then use internal links to drive that link equity to your most important commercial pages. So this is the way that I like to do things. And you'll need to go out and do outreach and all that stuff, or you can just use a service like Search Intelligence. And they're a digital PR agency. And you can tell, like, if we look at the link profile for this website, they don't have a bad link profile. It's just that their link profile, it just lacks strength. It doesn't have any links from really high authority sites. It doesn't have a lot of editorial links. So you need to use either a digital PR link building agency like Search Intelligence, or you have to go and manually do this yourself. So you can see they get links on some very powerful websites. And they're doing basically what I just described. They'll create some sort of linkable asset, and then they'll pitch that asset to a bunch of reporters, and then those reporters will write about that asset on these extremely high authority websites. Okay, so can't recommend them enough. They're super, super good. And I definitely stand by their work. They do a really great job. They're definitely not the cheapest. This is not, you don't go here if you want the cheapest, but they're going to get you the the best links that you could possibly get in the context of doing digital PR. So definitely check them out. I'll have a link below the video. Okay. So that is what I would do though. I'd go commercial page by commercial page and improve the content. Then I would create link bait. And finally, I would go and promote that link bait to build site authority. And then I would also be looking at localized link opportunities. So you can just go in, you could search something like Chicago sponsors or whatever your city, and then just start to dig through some of these opportunities. And really what you want to look for right away is just see, like, are they actually linking out on these sponsorship pages? If the answer is yes, then this is a great opportunity. However, if we look at one like this, you can see they are showing sponsors, but they're not linking out on any of these. So obviously we would skip these. So we're really just looking for the ones where we're getting good outbound links. So like this one here, another great one that has outbound links. And then we would reach out to these opportunities. So you can see there's a contact information right here. And just reach out and say, I was looking to donate to this, and I was wondering how we could get on this page, okay? And then they'll tell you the investment, all that stuff. They're very open about it because they want your donation. So you get those details, and then you go ahead and send that list to your client to get approval. And then whichever ones they approve, then you make that investment. Okay, it's as simple as that. And if you just do these things alone, you optimize the NLP, you create link bait, you promote your link bait, and you get some localized links, you're gonna be well ahead of 80% of your competitors. Okay, so but there's a lot of stuff that I've covered in this video, and the key is, like, don't just take one piece of it and do it. You got to really do everything together, because it's the compound effect of all of these actions together that really produces the big lift in SEO performance. So that's how you rank #1 in Google. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe. And if you want to get access to my proprietary step-by-step SEO system that 6, 7, and even 8-figure agencies use right now to get their clients the best results, then apply for Gotch SEO Academy. Thank you so much for watching.